Now that we have created the project, let's open the project in the code editor. I shall be using Visual Code. You can use whichever of your choice. So let's go to Visual Studio Code, File, Open, Company Management, and then say Open. Okay. Now that the project has been created, let's take a minute to understand about the files that CLI has generated for us. The first file is package.json file. Package.json file has all the dependencies of the project. The main ones being the Angular dependencies. It also has some testing packages. Alright. And some built-in scripts to start the project, build the project, and test the project. The next important file is the Angular CLI.json file. Angular CLI internally tells what is the source folder of the project and what should be the output folder of the built project that will be used for production. And we have assets property which says which is the folder from where assets like images or fonts need to be used from. So if you see inside source, we have assets folder, and this is where all your images or any assets you would like to keep go into. We then have index property which tells which is the index HTML page that application should look for, which is right here. And we have one more important property called main, which Angular CLI tells what is the main TS file. TS stands for TypeScript. It's a superset of JavaScript, and it's very similar to JavaScript. Angular is made up of many modules, and main.ts is the main module which our application depends on. Modules are components that can be reused across the applications, and modules in turn are built using separate components. Alright, for now just remember that main.ts is a main module of our application. Now if we go to the main.ts file, if you see, the application bootstraps in the sense that it loads this app module initially to start the application. Now let's go to app module, command or control click. It takes you to the app.module.ts file. So this is a module in Angular, and here again it calls app component, and this is the component, a custom component that Angular CLI generates for us initially, which depends on two things. One is the HTML, which is the template URL, and the style URLs, which styles the HTML elements using app.component.css file, which is right here. Now there's something called selector, which is the name of component that we create. So selector is basically a name given to a custom component that we create. And how we use this in our application is, for example, if we navigate to index.html, there is an element by named app-root, and this is a custom element that we call in index.html. Each component in Angular comprises of three elements. One is the HTML itself, which is used to display the elements. The other one is the CSS, which is used to style the elements within the HTML. And finally the TS file, which takes care of all the actions or interactions that happen, or any logic that we want to apply. All that goes within the TypeScript file. We have a variable called title, which has the value app. How is this variable used in HTML? Well, we use it within double curly braces. We just give the variable name here and assign the value within the TypeScript. If you change the value here and save all the files, and Webpack recompiles the application, and then if you see, this has changed in the application. Okay, now let's add some style to our H1. Let's take out all these additional elements and let's style the H1 in the CSS. Then save all the files. There you go. And finally, component.spec.ts is a file generated by CLI again, which is used for testing. You can ignore this file as of now. So only files you need to concentrate on are first one being the module file. All the additional components that you would be generating or using within the application needs to be imported here and added here within the declaration. Okay, and the component itself, which is the component HTML, its relevant style, and finally all the logic that goes here in the TypeScript file. So that's our first Angular component, and let's start building a sample application in the next one. Stay tuned and subscribe. Cheers.